Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my, my Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking of 2017. I did do 2 of these already, one of which was uploaded onto YouTube, but I've decided I will do 1 more for the end of the year. And just because some opinions changed since the last one. And also I decided I'll do some rankings for, well, this, DC and X-Men. I've also considered Star Wars for each year, so there'll be an annual one. So, yeah, annual ones of these. So, let's get started. Just before we do, I'll just list you the 17 names of the 17 films. 16 of which I've got on DVD and Blu-ray. The last one is out in cinemas now, hopefully still. Go check it out if it's still in cinemas. If not, it won't be a long until it's on DVD and Blu-ray. And the 18th one will be out in cinemas in February. Okay, first of all we've got Iron Man. Then we've got The Incredible Hulk, both from 2008. Then we've got 2010's Iron Man 2. 2011's Thor. Also from 2011, Captain America, the first Avenger. 2012's masterpiece, Avengers Assemble, or The Avengers. 2013's Iron Man 3, and also from that year, The Dark World, For the Dark World. 2014's Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy, also from 2014. 2015, we got Avengers Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. 2016, we have Captain America Civil War and Doctor Strange. And from 2017, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, in this brilliant steelbook I've recently reviewed, and Thor Ragnarok, which, if it's not currently in cinemas, was out not too long ago and will be on DVD and Blu-ray soon. So I'll just sort this into my ranking and then we'll get started. So let us get started with number 17. Number 17 is really the closest one, in my opinion, that is bad. It's the closest. It's not completely bad, but it's not exactly brilliant either. And that is For the Dark World. Disappointing. Just disappointing and dull and boring. Apart from the fact that part of it is set in London and has some very good effects, it's just not that great. Just not that great of a film, not that great of a story, and it's just not that great. I do like the development of the Thor-Jane relationship, but that's as far as it goes, and the side characters are fun, like they were in the first film, and Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, of course, do brilliant performances. Well, actually, everyone does a great performance, but it's not that great. Also, Malika, played by Christopher Eccleston, is probably the MCU's weakest villain. Although Eccleston does try, his villain just isn't that great. So, yeah, it's a shame. They've got a great actor in to play him. One of the best actors to play the Doctor, in my opinion, to be exact. But sadly not. I hope if they get other Doctor actors in to play characters like with David Tennant in the Jessica Jones TV series, they do a better job with them. I think they did with Tennant in Jessica Jones. If they get any of the other Doctors in, either as villains or other heroes or other characters, then hope they do a good job. Right, so number 16. Number 16 is actually a film that isn't really bad, or at least not as bad as Dark World. In fact, none of them are as bad as The Dark World. But this film, I do need to rewatch this. But it's not that great. It's been going down, in my opinion, or at least compared to the other films in this series. And the one that's going to go above it on this new list was actually in this place, but a recent rewatch, I enjoyed it a bit more. So this one had to be knocked down. And this one is Ant-Man. Ant-Man's good, but yeah, the story just isn't that brilliant for me. I don't know, I guess heist movie just doesn't appeal to me. That being said, I did watch the Ocean's 11 trilogy after this. I think that trilogy got better as it went along. I think 3 was the better one. And I'll check out Ocean's 8 next year. And Logan Lucky wasn't that great. I don't know, maybe it's heist movies that I'm not so keen on. But they do have an interesting concept that hopefully they'll expand a bit more in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They did in Civil War, and hopefully Ant-Man and the Wasp will be in Infinity War or Avengers 4 or both. Probably Avengers 4 if they're not in the first one. I should say third. But yeah, it's just not that appealing. It's good, but it's not that great. Nice try though, and of course the characters are good. And maybe if it was an Edgar Wright directed movie, maybe it would have been a bit better. I do hope he does get round to directing a Marvel film, even if he's not doing Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp. So that's Ant-Man. So number 15. Number 15 was originally second lowest, but after a rewatch, it was a bit more enjoyable and a bit more fun. But story-wise, it has a bit of an importance to the overall MCU, but well, at least in terms of the character. But aside from that, it's not that great of a story, and that is Iron Man 2. Now, in regards of being important to the story, that's where he makes the new elements that stop his arc reactor in his chest from the first film not killing him, and it also shows a bit more of his relationship with his father, which we then expand a bit more later on in the later films. Well, not sure about expand, but we will continue to see. And well, besides that, and also the introduction of Iron Man, Joy possibly being part of the Avengers, as noted at the end of Iron Man, and also the introduction of Black Widow and War Machine, first outing of War Machine. There isn't really that much of a good story here, not really. But it is a fun and enjoyable one, I'll give it that. And, but just wasn't good. And it was because of this and Dark World is that I was worried for part 2s of a franchise. Then again, Age of Ultron was good. Winter Soldier originally was lower on my list, but I raised that because I rewatched that and that was brilliant on a second viewing. So my worries for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 were, well, put to the side. Once I saw that, we'll get to that one and the other two later. Actually, third ones I was up for, but then again, Thor Ragnarok because of this one, not this one, because of Thor Dark World, and Thor wasn't pretty. I was a bit worried, but third installments like Civil War and Iron Man 3 helped me get less worried. But more on those later. So next up, number 14. Number 14 is the one and only solo movie so far for the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. At least in the MCU. He's had one non-MCU film before in 2003, Hulk, similar to Spider-Man's many installments before his first MCU film. But Incredible Hulk, it's good, but it's not brilliant. I think it could have been a little bit better. was alright. Had a good concept of Bruce Banner trying to cure himself. But at the same time, I think the military trying to find him is just a bit stupid. I understand if they wanted to use his blood, but just going out this kind of big chasing like he's a wanted criminal and all that, that didn't feel that great, and just wasn't that spectacular, at least until the last act, the third act, when they got back to New York to find Mr. Blue, who turns out to be Samuel Steins? Or to find the guy who would become the leader if there was another movie with this. And the last fight at the end is pretty cool, even if it's a CG fest. But to be honest, it's still a good movie. There will be good moments in it, and despite what everyone says about Edward Norton, I think he's good in this part. But if there was behind the scenes issues, I can see why he was recast for the Avengers, where Mark Ruffalo, who was even better, took on the role. So now we move on to number 13. Number 13 is Thor, and the first Thor film, and it's good. It's got a good idea. It's a fish out of water story before coming to Earth and learning about human culture, and eventually earning being worthy of his hammer, whilst his brother Loki is trying to take over the throne using the frost giants. And it is a good story, but I don't think it's as good as some of the later installments on this list. I do consider it better than its sequel, The Dark World, but into all honesty, it wasn't as entertaining as some later ones, and that was one of the reasons. And these two films were why I was a little bit worried for Ragnarok. However, I can safely say Ragnarok is the best of the three, and is a bit later on this list, but we'll get to that later. But I will say that Thor has a great story. It's pretty much a masterpiece compared to the second one. But compared to later installments, it's just good. Enjoyable, but good. I do think the mythology is better in this film than the other two, though. And other Thor appearances. Now we move on to number 12, and we're going to do this as a three-parter, and we'll stop after this one. So number 12, so rounding out part 1, is Captain America Civil War. Say what you like about this one, but I think it's just okay. I might even lower my score from 9 out of 10 that I did for the Blu-ray review to an 8 out of 10. It's a good story, and that airport scene was brilliant. But it's just like a petty feud has just gone out of hand, and at the end you're like, oh come on, get back together already. I hope this is part of the plan that Infinity War will fix, and maybe we'll look at this film in different light this time next year, or this time 2 years' time after Avengers 4, but at the moment it seems like the ending kind of ruined it. Not the ending, the ending scene or the ending battle, just the feel that the fact they're not back together. Something hopefully Infinity War will fix. Otherwise, it's pretty much ruins the franchise if it doesn't fix it. Despite being a good film, it pretty much ruins the franchise if Infinity War or Avengers 4 do not fix it. I wouldn't say there is a particular film that ruins the franchise. For The Dark World would be the closest, but that doesn't really have that much of an impact on the series. Not really, apart from one of the Infinity Stones is found. But this one would be if the conflict isn't resolved, which I'm sure it is going to be, but I'm just a little bit worried about its future. Besides that, it is an enjoyable film. The story about the villain is interesting, and he's actually a pretty good one compared to most of the others. And the personal stories between the heroes are interesting and enjoyable. But it's really the lasting impression, as well as just some parts of the film that you just like, God's sake. But overall, it's a good film. But but the impact will probably be felt for a while. I just hope they fix it. They sort this out, because I think this has pretty much damaged the series. And whilst Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor Ragnarok wouldn't be affected, Spider-Man: Homecoming and Black Panther would be, as would Infinity War. But thankfully, the first of the two ones affected by that just happened to be Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we'll get to that later. So that's it from part 1 of this ranking. That's numbers 17 to 12. That will be for The Dark World, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk 4, and Captain America: Civil War at 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and 12. Tune in next time where we do part 2, which will be 11 to 6. Okay.